We begin tonight on a grim note, as 13 people have died after boats carrying 39 passengers capsized along the Gugni-Zumba waterway in Shiroro local government area of Niger State. Well, according to the Niger State Emergency Management Agency, NSEMA, 26 passengers were rescued, while the bodies of 8 women, 2 men, and 2 children were recovered and buried in line with Islamic rites. The Deputy Public Relations Officer of NSEMA, Malik Baba Suleiman, confirmed that search and rescue teams immediately swung into action, ensuring all missing persons were accounted for. The ill-fated boat, reportedly overloaded with goods and passengers, capsized near Guni village while heading to Zumba. In the aftermath, the Niger State government has asked commuters on the waterways to adhere strictly to safety regulations, avoid overcrowding boats, and remain vigilant, especially during the rainy season when water levels often rise. And 2 people have died and several communities submerged in Yola South local government area in Adamawa State, with many residents displaced due to the heavy downpour that began around 1 a.m. when residents were asleep. Well, the state government has mobilized emergency agencies to rescue the trapped residents and move them to safer locations. Let's turn our attention now to security matters, where Governor Nasir Idris of Kebbi State has confirmed the loss of some soldiers in the ongoing fight against banditry in Danko, Wasago local government area of the state. The governor made this known at the overnight government house in Benue, Kebbi, while inspecting some armored personnel carriers deployed to the state by the federal government. Reaffirming his administration's support for security forces, he pledged continuous assistance to the families of the fallen soldiers who pay the supreme price in line of duty. During that inspection, the commanding officer of 223 Light Tank Battalion, Guru, Lieutenant Colonel Mohammed Saleh, presented the military equipment to the governor, expressing gratitude to the state government for its efforts in strengthening the capacity of security agencies. Governor Idris also extended appreciation to President Bola Tinubu, the Chief of Defense Staff, and other heads of security services for their commitment to addressing national security challenges. But the commanding officer of 1 battalion, Rear Admiral Major A.P. Azubune, showcased 2 additional armored vehicles to Governor Idris at the government house to help bolster operations across the state. The governor has now appealed to residents in affected areas to cooperate with security agencies by providing them timely intelligence to aid ongoing operations. The Vice President, Kashim Shettima, has arrived in Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian capital, to represent Nigeria at the 2nd United Nations Food Systems Summit, holding from July the 27th to the 29th. On arrival, he was received by the Deputy Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Temesgen Tirune, the Charge d'Affaires Nigerian Embassy, Ethiopia Ambassador Nasir Aminu, Dr. Sulaiman Dauda, the Finance Wing Commander Gabriel Tabuto, and many others. Immediately after his arrival, the Vice President met with members of the Nigerian delegation, where he was briefed on the expectations from Nigeria at the summit. Vice President Shettima will join global leaders at a high-level event advancing the transformation of the office value chain, roundtables and meetings aimed at bolstering Nigeria's food security drive. Meanwhile, the government has presented Ethiopia with 2,000 cashew seedlings and 100,000 seeds of cashew nuts. While the donation, sufficient to cultivate approximately 600 hectares of land, was received by Ethiopia's Prime Minister to State for Agriculture, Dr. Efa Muleta Boru. And this is part of a shared commitment between both nations to sustain agricultural development across Africa. The government of Zamfara state said it has amended several business enabling laws and introduced new legislation and executive orders, all to strengthen land administration, simplify taxation, improve infrastructure, and offer business waivers and incentives. Well, the governor of the state, Mani Mumuni, made this known during a town hall meeting with members of the Zamfara business community in Gusau, the state capital.
Key players from Zamfara business community are here for a town hall meeting organized under the State Action on Business Enabling Reforms SABA initiative. The town hall meeting aims to revive small and medium-scale businesses badly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, with over 5,000 businesses in the state expected to benefit from the SABA initiative. To strengthen the implementation of the reforms, the Zamfara state government has established an Ease of Doing Business Council tasked with overseeing all business reform efforts in the state, as members of the business community are asked to propose practical ideas that can help improve the state's economic outlook.
Our administration, under the leadership of His Excellency Governor Dauda Lawal Gamdo Gusau, will welcome any initiative that has direct bearing to the earning and aspiration of our citizenry. I therefore call on you to always come up with new ideas that will improve our economic status.
The Permanent Secretary, Multilateral and Donor Agencies in Zamfara State commends the federal and state governments for their efforts in reviving grassroots enterprises.
Developmental process. Together we can strive, and together we can promote His Excellency's vision to see that Zamfara State becomes a global and enhanced developed state.
The focal person for SABA and Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning explains the scope and significance of the intervention.
The program is all about creating an enabling environment for businesses to grow in the state. It's a World Bank initiative which was initiated after the COVID-19 pandemic.
The SABA initiative is being implemented in collaboration with the World Bank, focusing on rebuilding livelihoods and fostering inclusive economic growth.
As part of its drive towards healthcare renewable initiative, the government of Yobe State has commenced the replacement of obsolete equipment and the supply of new ones across specialist hospitals in the state and the State University Teaching Hospital for better service delivery. The Chief Medical Director, Damaturu Specialist Hospital, Dr. Usman Abba Gaidam, who disclosed this while inspecting the 47 equipments received alongside the Executive Secretary of the hospitals, the Management Board. They applauded the Governor, Mai Malabuni's giant stride in the healthcare sector.
These are the newly supplied equipment at the Eye Clinic Molecular Laboratory, among other departments of the Specialist Hospital, Damaturu, facilitated by Governor Mai Malabuni.
The senior analyzer will also compose this machine if there's anything that
Sani Sheu, a nurse in the Eye Clinic, describes equipment as the latest that can withstand the weather condition and the growing population of patients with eye challenge.
This equipment that we have got from the state government, they are very vital considering to the situation that we are.
According to the Chief Medical Director of the hospital, a total of 47 equipment distributed across different departments are ready for installation, with many operators and engineers trained on the management of the equipment.
We have received 47 different types of high-tech machines which will be used to do molecular and genetic investigations, and as you have heard, they are first of their kind in the state and indeed in the sub-region.
The Executive Secretary in Yobe State Hospital's Management Board, while appreciating the Yobe State government for meeting the needs of the hospitals, charged the management on the need to imbibe maintenance culture.
There are so many initiatives that the Honorable Governor is doing to ensure that the health and welfare of the people of Yobe is already taking place in shape. And this initiative is one of the major ones. Supply of major equipment, both in the ophthalmology clinic and the laboratory, has gone far and is going far to reduce the burden of all the investigations that we have. And then enhancing and equipping the laboratories that we have will go a long way in providing the requisite requirement that is going to reduce the mortality we have in Yobe State.
With the new supplies, the government is hopeful that some of the referral cases resulting from non-availability of equipment will reduce drastically.
Let's turn our attention to security in Ogun State. 550 Amotekun operatives have been graduated by the state government to complement the security architecture, especially at the rural areas. At the passing out parade held in Shagamu Stadium in Ikenne local government area of Ogun, Governor Dapo Abiodun, represented by his deputy, Naimot Salako Oyedele, asked the officers to be diligent, professional, and provide the necessary intelligence as part of responders at the hinterland. The governor also seized the occasion to assure residents and investors to effectively tackle security, while he warned criminals that it will not be business as usual.
The arrival of the Deputy Governor and review of the quarter guard by Amotekun officers kicked off the event at the Gateway International Stadium, Shagamu in Ogun State. These 550 Amotekun trainees who have qualified to be part of the squad have received the physical and professional training in arms handling, intelligence gathering, and community policing.
The Amotekun Corps was established to complement existing federal security agencies by leveraging community trust and local intelligence. This model of community policing continues to demonstrate its value as a key pillar in our security strategy. I'm proud to report that Ogun State remains one of the most peaceful states in Nigeria. This outcome is a result of strategic planning, sustained investment, and collaborative effort.
While asking for the support and understanding of residents, the Deputy Governor, however, warned of high-handedness, indiscipline, and acts that could bring the outfit into disrepute.
I urge you to remain vigilant, professional, and fair. Uphold the highest standards in your conduct. Treat every citizen with dignity. You are not recruited to harass or intimidate, but to protect. Let your actions reflect discipline, transparency, and service. Let me assure you that this administration remains committed to welfare and effectiveness. We will continue to invest in your training, your logistics, and your well-being.
The co-commander Amotekun appreciated the state government for the support and promised to continue training and retraining the team in modern intelligence gathering.
It gladdens my heart to report that plans are at advanced stage to enroll all our operatives into the National Social Insurance Trust Fund scheme, which will ensure that they are properly
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. 13 people die after a boat carrying 39 passengers capsized in Niger State. Governor Omar Bago urges riverine communities to adhere to safety regulations. Last missing corpse found in Taraba boat mishap. Residents recovered body for immediate burial. Vice President Kashim Shettima arrives at Addis Ababa in Ethiopia to represent Nigeria at the second UN Food System Summit from July the 27th to the 29th. United States and European Union have reached a trade deal which will see a blanket tariff of 15% on all European Union goods imported to the United States. The real effectiveness of Nigeria's security and defense system remain a subject of concern, but who and what should be held responsible for the unending stories of crime and terror? Only in the first half of this year, that's 2025, the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data reported approximately 5,000 fatalities due to crime and terrorism right here in Nigeria. So tonight, Babajide Ogunsanwo, who is the founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's chief data analyst, is here to share the latest facts and figures on national security and defense. Thank you very much, Babajide, for joining us on the News at 10. In the last 2 weeks, if we look at it, you have analyzed most of the security statistics across northern Nigeria, but tonight it is about the southern part of Nigeria. Are Nigerians living in the southern region feeling safer? What are the facts that we have on ground?
So the question of are Nigerians living in the southern parts feeling safer, it depends on which region you really ask. If you ask those Nigerians living in the southwestern region, the data shows that the southwestern region is, yes, the safest region across all 6 geopolitical zones. So if you ask families in the southwestern region, they perhaps will give you a positive answer. Excuse me. If you ask families in the southeast and the south-south region, now that's different. Now, let's take a look at the data, Anne, because within that data, there's good and bad news. Data on the first half of the year, security statistics from the number of fatalities perspective, especially looking at the data as released by the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data. Now, here's the good news, Anne. From their reports, they show that, yes, the security and defense agencies in the first half of this year have made some good progress relative to previous halves of the year. So this year, first half, southern Nigeria, 592 fatalities recorded, compared to over 600 fatalities recorded in the first half of 2024 and over 600 fatalities recorded in the first half of 2023. So good news for security and defense agencies based on the number of fatalities reported by the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data that first half of 2025 showed progress. But Anne, here is the bad news. Within the southern region, the southeast, there are significant concerns. And if you take a look at that data, it shows us that approximately half of the fatalities recorded in southern Nigeria occurred in the southeastern region. So yes, we have families living in the southwest feeling a bit safe. However, families living in the southeast are really concerned, especially if you look at Anambra and Imo, 2 states within the southeast region that account for more than 60% of all fatalities in the southern region. And here's why I think Anambra and Imo come out very critical. Remember, it's now 4 dozen years past the decade. Around this period in 1967 was when the 12 states were created, and the East Central State was one of the 12 states that was created. And when further states were created, the 2 first states that came out of the eastern states were Anambra and Imo states. The first 2 states that were created out of the eastern central states, Anambra and Imo. And these are the 2 states now that are having the highest concentration of criminal and terrorist activities in the southeastern region. So some bad news for families living in Anambra and Imo states. However, some good news is Ebonyi State and the other states, Imo, Ebonyi, Enugu, Abia, actually have a larger expanse of land than Anambra and Imo State. So if you look at it from the fatalities perspective, crime and terrorism is concentrated in those 2 states. But if you look at the whole of the Igbo land, 30,000 square kilometers, most of those other states are making progress. And if you look at that data, for instance, in Ebonyi State, first half of this year, we have 45 fatalities recorded compared to 53 fatalities last year. In Enugu State, 35 fatalities recorded this year, 44 last year. In Abia State, 23 fatalities recorded this year, 26 last year. And don't forget, like I said, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Abia, the land area of these three states is larger than the land area of Anambra and Imo State. However, from the cultural perspective, Anambra and Imo State are really core to the Igbo land, and that is where the center of trouble still is.
But Babajide, based on these data, where are the two most critical states, or maybe the most critical states, and what is happening with security there? Based on what you have seen so far, how much attention is given to security in those regions?
So again, looking at the data we just shared, Anambra and Imo within the southeastern region are still the top two states. We're looking at over 170 fatalities reported this year. Last year, it was about 140, a little over 140 fatalities. So there's still largely a lot of concerns regarding military operations and how successful they are in Anambra and Imo State. We see a lot more calm in the other three states. But beyond even military operations, the concerns are that unlike the war against terrorism in the northern part of the region, where you have a lot of foreigners coming into Nigeria to fight, in the southeastern region, it's something clearly different. It is a lot of the locals. We have the Eastern Security Network, IPOP, so it's more of Nigerians fighting Nigerians. So the approach which the military and other security agencies are using in the southeastern part of Nigeria is significantly different, and there is a lot more non-kinetic operations going on in the southeastern region compared to what we are seeing across the north. So same country, two different military tactics and operations, but by and large, we still know overall that southern Nigeria, based on the data in the first half of this year, has been significantly calmer than the northern region.
But if there is one word to describe Nigeria's security situation and probably defense in the first half of this year, what will that word be?
One word will be a tough one. Maybe one phrase, one sentence.
Maybe a phrase.
So for me, it will be perspectives matter. And it depends on which side you really want to look at it. But if we stick to the fact, and if we strictly stick to the fact, there's some really good news and some news to worry about. So let's take a look at what has happened in the first half of the year, not just in southern region as we're about to end, north and south, because it then allows us to see the full picture. And if we take a look at the data from the armed conflict location and event data, what it shows, first of all, is the good news is that looking at the fatalities reported this year relative to what was reported last year, as of last year, first half of last year, reported 5,416 fatalities. That is down by 7% to 5,061. And I remember last year when this report was released, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, had said he was going to make sure that the number of fatalities declined. So yes, based on the data we have, good news, total number of fatalities across the country has declined by 7% in the first half of this year relative to the first half of last year. Some good news. And here's the bad news. The bad news, however, is that the northwest and the northeast still remain the epicenter of terrorism. Now, the northwest. So what we have is, nationally, we see a decline in number of fatalities. However, the northwest and the northeast account for 70% of the fatalities of the country. So the concerns are, if we want to improve the global, the domestic, the international picture of security in Nigeria, and we want to really attract foreign investors, we want to attract and grow local industries and improve overall economic growth and development, the northwest and the northeast is where the president really has to put his focus on. And in the final analysis, speaking about the president has also recently taken a position on his outlook for security nationally. And if you take a look at the statement he made earlier this week regarding security, it allows us to see that, yes, perhaps we need to still stay optimistic, stay hopeful, and prepare for the second half. And in the president's words, in every corner of this land, every citizen shall know this truth. Your government will spare no cost, no effort, and no resolve to keep you safe. In simple terms, we should expect more allocation and more budgetary support for security agencies, and should clearly, from the president's position, no cost, no effort, and no resolve will be spared in keeping all Nigerians safe. So the second half of the year has started. We'll take a look at exactly the results we've achieved by the end of this quarter. So we're not going to wait until the end of the year for another review. By the end of September, end of third quarter, we'll take a look at the progress we've made again.
But if you were to just probably predict what the second half of the year will be, when you look at it from all the data and statistics you know and whatever is going on at the moment with Nigeria and what we have witnessed in the first half, what would the prediction be for the second half of the year?
Sticking to the facts, nationally, terrorism is on the decline. Those are the facts. Facts from the Global Terrorism Database, facts from the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data, and the overall picture is that things are really getting better. However, there are some regions which we've identified, the Southeast, the Northwest, and the Northeast, that we hope that the president at the national level shows a bit more strategic direction so that this declining trend of terrorism does not reverse.
All right, thank you very much. Babajide Ogunsanwo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's chief data analyst. Thank you for your insights and contribution on the news at 10.
Pleasure is always mine, Anne.
The Oniru of Iruland, Oba Abdul Wasiu Omobolahon Lawal, has celebrated his 55th birthday with a book launch titled From City to Mega City, a memoir of Lagos urbanization. The event brought together government officials, traditional rulers, and the private sector to celebrate the Oniru's contribution to the Lagos story.
It's a grand entrance fit for royalty, and for a man whose life story is deeply intertwined with the growth of Lagos. Oba, the 15th Oniru of Iruland, marks his 55th birthday, surrounded by an array of dignitaries from government, the private sector, and traditional institutions. But the celebration doesn't stop there. It's a double occasion, as it's also the unveiling of his new book, From City to Mega City, a memoir of Lagos urbanization, 1999 to 2023. Oba Lawal's journey is closely tied to the story of Lagos. He served as aide-de-camp to then-Governor Bola Tinubu, held office as a 3-time commissioner, and now a royal custodian of heritage and tradition. This book, he says, is a gift from a king to his beloved city and to history itself.
That book explores many myths, as I said in the foreword, but you will see that he has very, very carefully limited himself in 1999 and 2023. But some of the things that he dealt with there was the investments that have been made continuously by previous and continuing governments of Lagos State in the agri sector.
From City to Mega City is written by someone who didn't just observe. He lived it as a citizen, a policy maker, and a witness to the transformation of Lagos. And as expected, goodwill messages flow in from the Deputy Governor of Lagos State to the Chairman of Channels Media Group, all acknowledging the Oniru's contribution to the Lagos story.
That this launch coincides with your birthday shows that you are a man that cares about Lagos, its history and its trajectory. It's an impactful legacy that showcases His Majesty's unwavering determination for the progress of Lagos and, of course, Iruland.
The number 55 in numerology relates to transformation and new beginnings. And with the antecedents of the Kabiyesi and his record in office and his eye for the future, I know that his reign will be glorious, will be peaceful, and will be long.
For Oba Lawal, this book is his personal account of the evolution of Lagos over 2 decades. A story prompted by a sweeping, perhaps even challenging remark.
This book was born in a moment of discomfort. I recall I was at a conference when one of the speakers with great certainty claim that Lagos had done little to address contemporary urban issues. That assertion, though unsettling, became a spark. It reminded me of a risk of silence. I realized how easy it is for narratives to be distorted when we fail to document our stories. That moment became the catalyst for this work.
The Oniru of Iro Kingdom.
It took 4 years to bring From City to Megacity to life. And within its 485 pages lies a blend of policy reflection, historical insight, and a legacy of governance, all written by the one who lived it.
Still ahead on the news at 10, European Union and United States agree trade deal with 15% tariffs for European exports to America. Please join us again. Welcome back. Nigeria's landscape is set to receive more global attention following the America cable news company Newsmax fact-finding mission to the country. Speaking to Channels Television, Newsmax representative Eric Moore and Nigerian media practitioner and entrepreneur Omotayo Omotosho elaborated the purpose for their visit to Nigeria and the immense opportunity it affords Nigerian media companies in terms of scaling the U.S. media stream and public. They debunked the insinuation of Newsmax's dominance of the Nigerian news media space, and they say collaboration with credible organizations like Channels Television will be a win-win for all parties.
It's not America trying to dictate, and Madam Ose talked about this earlier. It is truly a partnership on how we can have an exchange. An exchange of ideas, an exchange of cultures, an exchange of market opportunities to better understand each other. And I go back to the idea of Nigeria, looking at Nigeria as a brand. And we have an opportunity to position that brand in a way that can be beneficial on several levels. And that's very exciting. If we can put Madam O in a bottle.
You take me to U.S.?
Sprinkle her all over the world would be such a better place. And this is what we want to share.
So kind of you.
Yes, of course, with American audiences.
We must change the narration. A lot of my friends over there, Americans, Europeans, whenever we talk, they will tell me, Tayo, what are you people doing about promoting and projecting positive news, good information, things that would make a head swell about Nigeria? Nigerians that have done so spectacularly well all over the world. What we hear of Nigeria is the country of cybercrime, 419 emails, and this and that. That is not positive. How much are we doing to changing this narrative? This partnership is going to give focus to that.
The governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, says the new coalition of persons in different political parties in Nigeria coming together under the African Democratic Congress is not a serious concern to the All Progressives Congress. He adds that any group can come up to support whichever party, but the APC will strive and put efforts together for better results. He spoke on our political program, Sunday Politics.
If you look at the heavyweights that you are talking about, are mostly people who are leaving either SDP or PDP or the other political parties and joining into a new political party, therefore weakening the PDP or weakening the other parties. So will that be something exciting to an APC or not? I would say, instead of being concerned, we should be excited, actually, that instead of having a force in one area, they are being split into different groups. So that's the way that I look at it. If you talk about concern, to be honest with you, there has not been, and I have not had it, I know that about it, either at our APC governors meetings or even the general meetings where there are more people or the stakeholders meetings or so. It is normal to have opposition by these people. When somebody we are an association of this, and therefore we recognize this. It's just normal. You just have somebody, who will sit down in his room, get a few people together and say we are the Democrats youth of northern Nigeria. Therefore, we are supporting this. And then you get concerned. So how do you get concerned about that? I think as far as we are concerned, we continue to put our efforts together. The bottom line is that we do have some people, that's the one that even give me more concern. We have some of our friends from APC who were formerly CPC, for instance, who have split, and now they are joining opposition. But they are not many, there are very, very few of them. And some of them are not very much known politicians. They are professionals in what they do, and they decided to do that. So they are planning, we are planning. We're in politics. We're in this and that. We are not just sitting down watching them planning. So as they plan, we plan. And at the end of the day, the better plans will take over. So now it is as they are planning, we are planning. We keep getting more and more governors from PDP joining us. Very soon you will hear another governor joining us. You hear every day, senators that are decamping and coming back to APC.
Residents of Sadauna local government area of Taraba State are appealing to President Bola Tinubu and indeed the federal government not to abandon the 30,050 megawatts Mambila hydroelectric power dam project in the area. The residents made the appeal when Governor Abu Kefas visited the proposed temporary site for the establishment of the Taraba State University of Tropical Agriculture, Science and Technology and Climate Action on the Mambila in Plateau.
This model school, comprising nursery, primary and secondary sections, commissioned by the Darius-led administration and located on the Mambila Plateau, is the proposed temporary site for the commencement of the Taraba State University of Tropical Agriculture, Science, Technology and Climate Action. Governor Abu Kefas leads state government officials to inspect the school environment after recently signing into law a bill for the establishment of the high institution. He expresses confidence that his free education policy is changing the narrative of education in the state and attracting more investors.
We are bringing more schools, more investments are coming in here. So make the best use of this opportunity so that our children, our young people will learn some of those skills and prosper. And I believe that if we work together, poverty will be a thing of the past.
The establishment of the high institution is part of the promises made by the Nigerian government to residents of the Mambila Plateau when they seceded from the Republic of Cameroon and joined Nigeria during the 1961 plebiscite, a gesture which they commend.
I think this is the best thing that has happened to the people of the Mambila Plateau, because since from creation of this local government, this is the first time we're having a tertiary institution. And you know the advantages that go with it. Our people will live from here to Yola to go and obtain first degree in university. If you look at the cost of transport alone, it's sufficient for them to use to study here. So I think this is the best thing that has happened to us. And then secondly, we have a lot of opportunity for employment.
This is a very clear indication that the Nigerian government has received us very well, and there will be no need for any referendum. Promise made and fulfilled.
Stakeholders from the area also make a case for the 30,050 megawatts Mambila hydroelectric power dam.
Mambila hydro project should have been supplying electricity not just to the northeast by now, but to some other parts of the country because of the volume of capacity. 30,050 megawatts that should have been produced.
Governor Kefas also commissions the remodeled Sadauna Government House named after General T.Y. Danjuma as residents appeal to both state and federal governments to connect the area to the national grid.
The Benue State Signage and Advertisement Agency has appealed to the State House of Assembly to expedite action on the bill establishing the agency and amend relevant provisions that enables its digital migration and data collection to improve revenue generation from signage and advertisement. Director General of the agency, Mr. Solomon Iprev, made this call during an oversight visit by the State House of Assembly Committee on ICT, led by Mr. Kennedy Amwo, as part of efforts to generate better information regarding the bill pending at the Assembly before its passage.
The streets of Makurdi, like some other state capitals, is littered with public and private billboards, signage and advertisement platforms, which informed the establishment of the Benue State Signage and Advertisement Agency. The agency plays host to the Benue State House of Assembly Committee on ICT as part of efforts to gather information towards the passage of the bill establishing it, as the Pioneer Director General shares his ideas, including digital migration of business data and revenue generation.
For us to be effective in this tax collection, we must have proper data. And so we felt the best way to go about it is to go digital, which is the partnership with us and the BDIC, to ensure that the portal is set up. We have a website and the portal is set up where every person that has a business registers.
Issues of profit sharing from operators of social media platforms and available job opportunities are highlighted.
I spend money on data that Facebook, it goes, chunk of it goes to Facebook and Netflix and all of that. I think, I don't know, that law should give you a backing to approach these platforms, the owners of this platform, to get revenue, because our people are really investing, in what goes to them.
You, the lawmakers, we bring in your people. The state government brings in their people. So your constituency, when I go to Tukpo or I go to you will be part of the people that will bring the staff to this. So this, I'm not going to go deep, but my projection is over 1,000 people will be taken off the streets.
The committee chairman harps on the need for an expanded town hall meeting with business owners and stakeholders.
I think before we go for the final stage, we may call for a town hall meeting, stakeholders engagement, where they can also make input and tell us what they need to do, what they expect, or the challenges they have had. Because without us knowing what their challenges are, it will be difficult for us to even make laws to protect them.
At the moment, multiple agencies from the Ministry of Trade, local government officials, and the State Internal Revenue Services engage in various revenue collection from businesses. But the new law is expected to streamline the collection to end multiple taxation.
And as part of its wider non-kinetic effort at securing the Niger Delta region, the Nigerian Air Force is reiterating its commitment to providing quality education to students in their area of operation. And this was made known in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, during the graduation ceremony of the Air Force Secondary School. The school's commandant, Wing Commander Bala Adamu, says the highlights wider mission to shape character, instill discipline, and empower the next generation of leaders.
It's a bright and colorful display of military precision and academic pride as 142 students take their final march as students of the Nigerian Air Force Secondary School, Port Harcourt. Proud parents, senior military officers, educators, and community leaders are in attendance. Wing Commander Bala Adamu, commandant of the school, says the event underscores the Nigerian Air Force's non-kinetic approach to national development, with education playing a central role.
Our achievements are a testament to the dedication of teachers, the support of parents, and hard work of our students. We have optimized available resources to create a conducive learning environment in line with the vision of the Directorate of Education, Nigerian Air Force, and our students have responded positively. As we celebrate the success of our graduating students, we are confident that we have delivered on one of our key mandates, which is to inculcate leadership and promote disciplined behavior among our students.
My company, Platform Petroleum, shall be donating a further 20 million naira towards the completion of the library.
Speaking to journalists on the sidelines of the event, businessman and politician Dumo Lulu Briggs says he's glad to identify with the graduating students, even as he rewards the best graduating students with cash prizes.
I mean, we just heard that, someone scored 360 at JAM, which is almost about what the highest, at JAM scored, right? And this is what they've been doing year in, year out, so I'm very glad to identify, with this school. And, I was very, excited when I said, well, there's 142 graduating students, And then I said, well, each person will get, a token 10,000 naira. You saw the excitement. And that touched me because, we have an entitled, society today. People feel as though they're entitled to so much.
Among the awardees are the best graduating student, Ronnie Ibuegu, the first runner-up, Fumnanya Okodike, and the highest JAM scoring student, David Ebere, with a score of 360.
From day one, I kept on moving. From day one, I didn't relent. I kept working hard. Then I also listened to my teachers, my parents' advice especially. Then my friends supported me through the way.
I worked hard. I studied a lot. I took mentorship from my parents and best students that have gone before me. And of course, I did a lot of prayers, a lot of dedication and devotion to God.
I really want to say a very big thank you to F4 Secondary School Port Harcourt for all they've done. They've really impacted the lives of students. And I want to say that the sky will only be their starting point.
Highlights of the event include the ceremonial handover of the flag from the outgoing set to the next, cultural displays, and plenty of dancing. As they move on to the next phase of their lives, the graduating students carry with them a legacy of discipline, academic excellence, and service to the nation. For the Air Force, it's another step in its mission to secure the future, not just through arms, but through education. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
As preparations build ahead of Nigeria's 2027 elections, the Southeast Renewed Hope Agenda has asked the region to unite behind President Bola Tinubu, advocating for his re-election to a second term. The appeal was made in Owerri, the Imo State capital, during the official inauguration of the group's state chapter over the weekend. The national coordinator, Belu Sochukwu Enwere, highlighted the administration's recent approval of $3 billion Eastern Rail project, noting that once completed, it will strengthen regional connectivity, it will boost trade, attract investment, and foster economic integration across the Southeast region. Our correspondent, Aitokwa Kutei, reports.
It's a colorful scene in Owerri as the Southeast Renewed Hope Agenda officially inaugurates its Imo State chapter, reaffirming its mission to rally support for President Bola Tinubu's 2027 re-election bid. Members drawn from all the 27 local government areas converge on the state capital, showcasing strong grassroots mobilization. Group leaders outlined the purpose of the gathering, highlighting key achievements of the Tinubu administration, particularly those impacting the Southeast region.
Many prominent Igbo sons and daughters have been appointed into federal boards, parastatals, policy drafting committees, and the ministerial roles, signaling efforts towards national inclusion and integration.
The Southeast Investment Company was recently launched by the president with a capital of 150 billion naira. Now, this investment is going to come to the Southeast. And if you check, yes, other regions have their regional development commissions, but as of today, it's only the Southeast that has a Southeast Development Company that is going to invest directly in the Southeast.
National Coordinator Belu Sochukwu Enwere praises what he describes President Tinubu's unprecedented federal commitment to the region, citing the recent $3 billion approval for the Eastern Rail Line. Enwere believes that once completed, the project will reduce transport costs, boost trade, create jobs, revive dormant industries, and accelerate regional economic integration.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Oluremi Tinubu, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, Chairman Ted Fund, Aminu Masari, and Governor of Adamawa State, Umar Fintiri, were among distinguished Nigerians honored with honorary doctorate degrees today at the 35th convocation and 50th anniversary of the University of Port Harcourt. Our correspondent Deborah Balama now reports.
The week-long activities marking the 35th convocation and 50th anniversary celebration of the University of Port Harcourt rounded off on Saturday with the award of doctorate degrees to 944 persons. Also awarded honorarium doctorate degrees are distinguished Nigerians, including Niger's First Lady, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, Governor of Adamawa State, Umar Fintiri, and Chairman of TED Fund and former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aminu Masari. The convocation begins with a grand procession led by the Vice Chancellor and members of the Senate Council and the academic staff. In his opening remark, the Vice-Chancellor of the University, Professor Wunari Georgewell, notes that in its 5 decades of existence, the institution has produced quality graduates.
We can confidently report to you today that we have produced graduates who have headed NNPC as Chief Executive Director, 6 governors, Amechi, Wike, Silva, Oti, Jonathan, and Diri.
Dignitaries including the sole administrator of Rivers State, Ibokete Abbas, and Senator Mao Ohabonwa delivered goodwill messages.
As administrator of Rivers State, I reaffirm the unwavering commitment of our government to education as the cornerstone of sustainable development. We will continue to support learning institutions from the foundational to the tertiary level to ensure that no child is left behind and that our universities remain globally competitive.
The academic credentials of Uniport speak for themselves. From a modest beginning with a few faculties, the university now boasts of about 18 faculties, including a School of Graduate Studies, College of Health Sciences, College of Continuing Education, and multiple specialized centers of research and public engagement.
Next, the TED Fund chairman, Aminu Masari, delivered the convocation lecture with the theme, The Role of Universities in Nation Building.
It is the heart of nation building, is the development of human capital. No country shall rise above the quality of its people, and no institution shares that quality more profoundly than a university.
And then came the moment of honor as the recipients were formally decorated and conferred with honorary doctorate degrees in science. First on the roll was Mrs. Tinubu, represented by her public affairs and strategy personnel, Wahab Alaiwi King. She was followed by the FCT minister, chaired by a lively crowd, then the Adamawa State governor, and finally, Aminu Masari. In his acceptance speech, the FCT minister highlighted his contributions to the education sector in Rivers State and nationally. He emphasized that he will continue to do more, as one is only remembered by their good works.
I was educated both in character and learning. I had a good fortune and privilege of interacting with some of the best professors in the world who deliberately and eagerly imbued us with knowledge and molded us into young men and women of substance and deep convictions. This also explains why I freely give to this institution whenever I have had the opportunity to so do.
The First Lady's representative rounded off the valedictory speeches with the announcement of a 50 million donation to the institution.
In line with my commitment to support education, especially that of the girl child, I am donating 50 million naira.
The event was well attended by ministers, members of the National Assembly, and others who flooded the convocation in solidarity of the awardees. Deborah Abalama, Channels Television News.
Human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has condemned the recent renaming of streets and bus stops in Lagos State, citing lack of adherence to constitutional procedures and public consultation. Mr. Falana made this known in a statement citing recent examples such as the renaming of Charlie Boy bus stop to Bado bus stop by the former chairman of Bariga Local Government Council Development Area, Kolade Alabi, as well as the naming of 2 streets after President Bola Tinubu and Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The United States and the European Union have announced the agreement of trade terms establishing the uniform 15% tariff on all EU goods imported into the United States. President Donald Trump stated that the EU has promised hundreds of billions of dollars in investment and energy purchases as part of this deal. And in the world of sports, Nigeria's D Tigers head coach Arena Wakama eyes a record 26th winning streak on the ongoing women's FIBA AfroBasket when they face Mozambique in their second Group D game on Monday in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. The reigning African champions kept their winning streak alive on Saturday by easily beating Rwanda 92-45 in their opener for the 25th win in a row in the tournament, dating back to October 2015. And the main news again. 13 people have died in a boat carrying 39 passengers capsized in Niger State. Governor Umaru Bago has urged riverine communities to adhere to safety regulations. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawade. Good night and have a great week ahead.